What's up, fam? It's been a minute. It's been way too long, and I really didn't even want to hop on here and talk about anything unless I had something actually worth talking about. So today I wanted to update you guys with my latest experience with the newer version of the Lumi Keys by Roli. Let's talk about it. Alright, so before we get started, I do want to let you guys know that Roli did send out this newer version of the Lumi Keys, which they're calling the Lumi Keys 1. So they did send this out to me for free, and even though they sent this to me for free, they are not sponsoring this video or paying me to say anything that I'm going to say. Nobody's watching the video before I post it. Nobody's having any type of say-so or any type of influence on what I say. If it sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks, just like any other video that I post. But what I do want to do is take this moment to shout out our actual sponsor for this video, which is DistroKid, and I'll talk about that more later. So I feel like the last time we talked about the Lumi Keys, we left it on a sour note. No pun intended. For those of you who don't know, I was one of the original backers for the original Kickstarter campaign for the Roli LUMI Keys. And some of you might have already seen that I have a few videos of my first initial impressions of the Lumi Keys and some additional thoughts that I've posted later on the first version. So what I want to do now is a quick comparison of the new version of the Lumi Keys, just to educate you more and give you a little bit more insight to see if you want to buy this in 2021. All right, so first things first, let's talk about what's new. First of all, the first thing that I noticed was the button color. On the original Kickstarter version, the buttons were actually darker. This is a more of a lighter gray. It still feels soft and silicone-like. It still has a responsive click and feel to it, but it is a different color and probably a little bit more sturdier. Speaking of sturdier, it does have a sturdier frame. I did notice that even when squeezing this one or shaking this one around, this one doesn't have it doesn't sound like it has loose parts in it, just like the other one did. So that's a plus. So what I did notice about the sturdier frame is that those cavities that kind of broke up some of the consistency in how this was built, those are now gone. The cavities that were up front, you can kind of see that this is a full flat surface, and it's probably a tad bit thicker. It feels like a little bit more stronger plastic now. And the last thing that I did notice that was new was the fact that on the back side, on the top of the Lumi Keys, is that the DNA connectors are gone. Now I have a theory as to why they removed this. I'm thinking that taking out the DNA connectors in the back was to be able to give this integrity of the build a little bit more strength. I'm just going to assume that having the DNA connectors on the back was just problematic to the overall build quality and how much this flexes when carrying it around. Other than that, the old Lumi Keys and the new Lumi Keys are not much different. It's pretty much the same weight, the same size. Actually, the new Lumi Keys is a slightly tad bit heavier. Still the same size, still only one port, which is the charging USB port, USB Type-C. Still the same exact amount of keys. You get 24 keys on one unit. So yeah, not much has changed. So let's talk a little bit more about the look and feel. Once again, there is only one port, so there's no external connectivity. And I am a bit disappointed of the DNA connectors on the back being gone now, because I actually used those on the older ones. So since the original units that I paid for actually included the ones at the top, I am going to miss that because it gave me a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more versatility when it came to connecting the ecosystem, which is Roli's DNA connectors with the Roli blocks ecosystem. Since you don't have any external ports on this keyboard, you will have to buy into their ecosystem to add on extra features like transport controls or even the Roli blocks light pads and stuff like that for knobs and faders and drum pads and stuff like that to go with this. Alright, so let's talk durability. Like I said, this feels a lot more sturdy than the older one. Even the keys, we'll talk about the keys in a hot second, but even the build quality on this feels a lot more secure, a lot more sturdy than the previous plastic build. This is still plastic, but it feels a little bit stronger than before. I am still nervous about traveling with this, but luckily now they include a snap case that is magnetic and it fits right over your Lumi keys just like that. The snap case actually provides some sort of security when you're throwing this into your backpacks and stuff like that, but I still don't trust it 100%, especially since these things have shown to be so fragile in the past. I will still definitely be careful while traveling with this in these snap cases. Now, let's talk about the Keybed. In the previous version, there was definitely some inconsistencies and some huge flaws when it came to the Keybed on the Lumi keys. These are actually a big improvement. These feel a lot better now. On this newer version, I don't feel any of the keys sticking. I don't feel any of the keys crunching or anything like that. But this does not feel like a grand piano. It doesn't even really feel like this. But that's just it. It's a brand new type of instrument from Roli. If you look at Roli's past, they've been huge in innovation and creating new types of instruments and new types of ways to play these instruments. And some of the functionality of this thing definitely proves that they're still in the business of innovation and creating new instruments. So again, this does not feel like a grand piano. Do not buy this thinking that you're gonna get some really good key travel, because it definitely feels different from most MIDI mini keyboards. And it doesn't feel bad, it's just different. So if we talking functionality, let's talk about some of my favorites. The Lumi keys now actually have pressurized aftertouch, individual key pitch bending, of course the DNA connectors, some MPE functionality, which is multi-polyphonic expression. And you already know what I'm about to say. My personal favorite, Bluetooth connectivity. I swear, if this thing didn't have Bluetooth built in, it'd be a no-go for me. I'm gonna be honest. The Bluetooth functionality for me just adds to the convenience factor. It's already super portable, it's modular, and there's no strings attached. No wires, no connections, just straight Bluetooth, especially when I'm using my iPad, my iPhone, and sometimes even a laptop. So one of the most common questions that you guys have been asking me in the comment section on my previous videos of the Lumi keys is, should you buy two? Again, that just kind of falls into that convenience factor. If you find yourself needing more than 24 keys, it is available because they have this modular ecosystem where you can connect Roli blocks, you can connect the blocks control system, you can connect other keyboards. It's all in the DNA connectors. I believe that the Lumi keys experience gets better with the more keys you have. Once again, with it being super portable and you being able to break these down and slide these into your backpack, you can literally take 24 keys and turn them into 48 keys within a matter of seconds. Now that's just insane. But what's also insane is that price point. It is extremely expensive to buy two of these. And that's really where you have to prioritize what you really need out of this controller. I believe you can connect up to 10 of these at one time. Don't quote me on that. I just know you can connect a lot of these and have them all work at the same time. But I think I've mentioned in my previous videos, for around the same price, you could get a standalone 49 key MIDI keyboard with all the bells and whistles. You just can't break it down and travel with it. That's the only thing. So you are paying for that convenience, the portability, the mobility of being able to take it apart and fit it into a small backpack. To some that may be worth it. I think it's worth it. Just go ahead and get the two. To a lot of other people, the price for just buying one is really just pushing it. So that's where you got to prioritize what you need out of this controller and figure out what works best for your workflow. All right, so who is Lumi Keys for? For me, Lumi Keys have been a huge confidence booster when learning how to play new scales, new chords, and just progressing in muscle memory. I know so many people are afraid to put their music out there because they just don't have the confidence that it takes to create music and be comfortable enough to share it with the world. And speaking of sharing your music with the world, DistroKid is a service that artists and musicians use to distribute their music out to the major streaming platforms like Spotify, Amazon, Google, Tidal, YouTube, Apple Music, Pandora, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. So the dopest thing about DistroKid is that they don't take any commissions from your streams. You keep 100% of your revenue. And while you're making all these beats, DistroKid also makes it super easy to split your revenue amongst collaborators. So you can literally make beats and melodies using these Lumi keys, send it to an artist. You can establish the revenue split percentage in their platform, and then DistroKid takes care of the rest. You put that money right back in your pockets, doing something that you love and something that you're comfortable with now. Feeling comfortable, feeling confident, and feeling creative enough to do it all over again. So peep this, for under $20 a year, $19.99 a year, DistroKid will distribute all your music across your streaming platforms and apps of your choice. And if you're smart and you want a discount even off of that price, you'll use my VIP link in the description. Go ahead and treat yourself to a nice little VIP discount on your music distribution for the year. Listen, if you want to learn music production and get your music out there to the world, DistroKid is how you do it. So again, who is the Lumi Keys for? Roli actually developed this learning app, a lot like Guitar Hero or something like Candy Crush, or those video games that you play on your phone where you follow the step sequencer and all that stuff. You follow that on screen using your iPhone, iPad, or even your Android devices. You can use their app subscription to learn anything from current songs to older classic songs. And since it is a learning app, then they teach you at your pace. Who I also think this Lumi Keys is for is like content creators, somebody like me. It definitely looks cool on video. It's a beautiful, simplistic design, and the lights are just amazing. If you need to capture some attention while you're making beats, let's say on Instagram, on Facebook, even YouTube videos, this is a pretty good way to slap somebody in the face and say, hey, look at me, I'm making beats. So if you do a lot of things like creating visual performances online, this is right up your alley. Even if you're on stage doing live performances, which we're not doing that much of these days, live performances would be crazy doing this thing. Imagine being on stage and you're lighting up your area, or just being able to see your keys and have just as much fun playing your keys as people are having fun watching you. This is also for the modular and mobile producer. If you'd like to be able to break your equipment down and pack it up into a small bag or a medium-sized bag, or whatever type of bag you're carrying, these are extremely portable. So you can use these as modular devices, or you can use them as standalone, stationary here in your home studio. The portability factor was enough for me to invest in it, and I'm loving that these break down and these are modular so that I can get the most out of what these are. And last but not least, if you're the type of person that's always having creative blocks or writer's block or whatever you want to call it, this also provides a layer of creative assistance. Using the desktop software, Roli Studio, you have access to arpeggiators, smart chords, strumming features, all types of stuff that helps eliminate beat block or writer's block. So all in all, I've had a slight change of heart in how I feel about the Roli LUMI keys, especially because of the improvement and the updates they've made to the build quality, as well as the software updates that in the feature list that they've updated with the LUMI keys. There really no other MIDI controller that does what this can do or has the potential to do. Not at this price point and not at this form factor. The fact that Roli is active in updating the Lumi keys with software, firmware updates, stuff like that gives me hope that this will just get better and better with each update. So there you have it. These are my updated thoughts on the Roli Lumi Keys 1 in 2021. If it was helpful, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and drop that notification bell so that you don't miss anything that I post in the future. Thanks for rocking with me. Thanks for rocking with the channel. And remember, if I can create like this with Lumi Keys, then you can create like this. Peace.